G'day. Cheers. Haven't done a video for a while. Been busy. The wife's just had a new baby. Baby's about 2 weeks old now. Holly, little girl. Here's to Holly. Cheers. That's a cream ale I brewed. Probably less than about 3 weeks ago. I'd say about 3 weeks ago. Clear as a bell. Beautiful. The recipe's on Cellar Dwellers. I'll put a link down the bottom. But what I wanted to talk about today was a BEERSMITH and Whirlpool hops and late edition hops. Anybody that knows BEERSMITH has probably realised in the last update, or it might have been the one before, they've added Whirlpool hops, and they add bitterness to your beer. There was a long time that people thought it didn't, but it does add bitterness, Whirlpool hops. As long as your beer stays above about 170 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's about 77 Celsius, of course, bitterness will still be coming from the hops. It doesn't matter if you remove the hops, the bitterness will still be coming, the oils in the wort will still be getting transformed into bitterness, for want of a better term. Now the problem, I had an email from Brad Smith from BEERSMITH that said, have you got any problems, or tell me your thoughts about BEERSMITH plane, biplane. Didn't see many of those these days. Not without rainbow. And so I answered his emails and said, yes, I do have thoughts, something that's bugged me for a long time. And it's, well, it used to be the Whirlpool hops didn't add bitterness, now they do, so that's good. But what does bug me is if you had, say, the last 1 minute edition or the last 5 minute edition of hops, and you have a steep after that of anywhere from, it doesn't really matter, 10 minutes, that 1 minute edition of hops is still going to be adding bitterness. Now BEERSMITH doesn't at the moment factor that in. So if you do a massive 5 minute edition, it only calculates it for 5 minutes, when truthfully, until you get that wort down below 170F or 77C, you're still going to be getting bitterness from those hops. And when you're doing big late editions, it makes a huge difference to your beer. Now I think Brad said he didn't have a formula to quite work it out yet. I think they could do a rough formula and let people know that it was, a bit up in the air, but it wouldn't be too hard to work out, but apparently it is for him at the moment. But it's definitely something to think about, because it will make a difference to your beer. And Brad answered me back, and this is what he said. There's friends of mine, Mike and that have done experiments and only done late edition hops for IPAs, and it's worked out perfectly. You know what I mean? You still get bitterness. Don't think that you don't. So it's just something to keep in mind. Those late edition hops are still going to be adding bitterness. It won't be that much, but it's enough to count. Like if you're doing a 30 gram or even 60, 70, 80 gram 5 minute edition or 10 minute edition, and you have a flame, you turn your flame off and you're steeping for another 10 minutes for maybe a flame out hops, that extra 10 minutes, you're still going to be getting bitterness out of those last edition hops you added. And I'll quickly try and show you on BEERSMITH, just a quick example. So here you can see I got just a stock standard IPA, some pale malt and some carapils and some hops. Now I'll just try and zoom in a bit. And you can see here that 100 grams of Centennial, which is a 10% alpha acid hop, for 1 minute only is supposed to add 4.3 IBUs, which is a little bit ridiculous. So if we add some more hops, I'll add another 100 grams of Centennial. For flame out, for a 10 minute steep, Whirlpool, and you can see that's adding 18 IBUs there, which is, you know, nearly over four times more than the 1 minute boil. But you'll also notice that the 1 minute boil hops, even though it's going to be sitting in the hops for another 10 minutes, there's been no IBUs added at all. Where in reality, you know, they could add another, you know, it's hard to say for me, I don't know the proper calculations, but, you know, easily another 5 IBUs, maybe even another 10. So it really makes a huge difference to your recipes. And something, if you're following other people's recipes or trying to make a clone of a beer and using a program like BEERSMITH, you've just got to keep this in mind, because that their 1 minute will definitely add more than your 4.3 IBUs. Now, one other thing to remember also, even if you aren't doing a steep or whirlpool, but you've added a 1 minute late addition or something, or 5 minute late addition, but it takes you 10-15 minutes to cool your beer down below the 177 or the 77 Celsius, then of course these hops you've added are still going to be adding bitterness too. So even if you're not doing a steep whirlpool, this can still affect your recipe massively. So personally, what I do, I'm not sure how much they add. I sort of take a rough guess, and you know, it totally depends on how much hops you're adding. But I might add another 5 IBUs on if I'm doing a big late addition to what the final beer will be. Now, I hope that makes sense. Sum it up: BEERSMITH, yes, it lets you add Whirlpool hops, and it adds bitterness for them now, which is a good thing. But unfortunately, your 10 minute, your 5 minute, your 1 minute, your late addition hops, it doesn't add the bitterness for them for the steep time. And steeping's a very good thing. If you haven't done it with flame out hops, I suggest you do. Great flavour. It really works well. And then, of course, after all that, you want to chill it down as fast as you can. Alright, I will have some more videos up soon when life's getting back to a bit normal. Cheers to the wife and to Holly. Health. And to yous. Cheers.